Okay,
That's okay.
good evening to everybody that's there, whoever is there. I see one person there. Who's the one person?
David.
It doesn't say, it doesn't usually say, isn't there a way to know the name? Oh, there it is, Joe Bennon. Oh, how you doing, Joe Bennon?
Brother or nothing?
My brother, I think. No, there's no picture.
Uncle Joe. Speak up.
No answer. Maybe he fell asleep. No,
During the class, not before.
yeah. So,
Ah.
so Ike Bitesh said he was stuck.
No, because of the weather.
Hmm. And you're leaving for Israel Sunday?
You are?
Oh, this guy's hungry. I see. You didn't eat supper, that means. Here, Linda put this and she said it's out of the oven.
It's delicious.
No, not Carrie, this.
Yes, he's eating it.
Oh, that's what you're eating. Oh,
Hey.
how you doing? Good evening.
What's the occasion? Just. Wow. That's not so, what do you? Stay for 3 weeks? I'll do it.
It's going to England for a week.
Oh, wow.
August performing in England.
That's great.
Wait, how many times has he gone to a performance of Olga?
Why first?
Never.
Yeah. Really?
This will be the first time.
Never heard one joke. Uh-oh.
Not
Uh-oh.
once. She's been doing it.
I'll go.
You're not even gonna go this
I don't
time.
think you could. I don't think you could.
No, it's not.
No, nothing risque.
Jewish organization.
Oh, it's a Jewish
They brought
organization.
her twice. They
Oh.
brought her
Oh,
back,
okay. Okay.
and then she's
So
over.
where would you go?
Maybe his show. I don't know.
So where would you go?
Who's his show? Who?
Modi, the comedian.
Oh.
I don't know. Bob will go, and I'll have the night myself.
Look, you should go.
No, you
It's a
can't.
Jewish organization. She's not gonna say anything off color. And the fact that you're in the audience, stay in the back. When she makes jokes about her parents,
Yeah. You say, oh, that's funny, that's funny.
that's funny, yeah.
Uh-huh.
You'll enjoy it. She's a good performer. She's professional.
Yeah, but she's out there.
She's out there,
She's
yeah.
out
But
there.
she's funny.
She's out.
She's funny and she's
No,
really,
she's very funny. No,
Yeah.
yeah. But she's out
Yeah, she comes home from material, I think.
there. He spices it up a little, I think.
did you ever tell her one time, tell me a joke? Not once. Holy macro.
And he has no plans to.
How about her siblings, like in the house together? Did they ever tell her, oh, go,
They don't talk, no, Sarah and Rena go.
they go? Oh,
Max,
oh, nothing.
Max doesn't.
He can't deal with it.
They don't like the whole idea,
Man.
and,
How about Menachem?
never says anything about anything.
That's great.
Not much.
Okay, so you leave Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So I have a phone for you
Phone?
to give Ralphie. Rabbi Ralph, yeah, I told him today that I'm gonna give it to you. You'll give it to him.
How long?
All right, so today,
Coming back in March 19th.
Oh, serious?
Huh?
If we stay putting. Wow.
he's gonna be there for Purim, yeah.
Wow.
Well, he's not leaving till Sunday. He'll be there for 3 weeks. Be not there, he'll be in England for a week.
3 weeks away.
1.5 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks away, a long one.
Nice.
Like, yeah,
That's nice.
you'll enjoy it.
Okay, cool.
So I want to continue, or tonight, I want to talk about one specific thing related to our conversation last week about, you weren't here last week, so you don't know what we talked about.
Hello,
He
Joe
posted
Bennett.
you
Oh, there he is. They were, everybody's telling you hello over here.
Yeah, but Frida unmuted it. Okay,
Uh-huh.
thank you. Wait, can you hear me now?
Yes, we could hear you, yeah. So now A.B. Malice said,
Hello, Uncle Joe, where are you?
Hi, how you doing? Shalom, shalom. And the Jersey Shore. Grazie.
right, okay. So we're gonna start. So you don't know what we spoke about, but in a nutshell, you've been at a lot of classes. You know what, give him one piece while we're talking, because I'm not gonna talk about it, but he'll be able to, there's one Ototeno Lora thing there. Let's give it to Morris, just for him to see. We talked about it, Ms. Ward, you only have to peruse this spreadsheet for a second, right? And it's the Mizmor that's leading up to the center of Tehillim, which we're focusing on these days. And in that Mizmor, in 74, we said that the Navi is praying for relief after the destruction, and he says, "Ototenu lo ra'inu." We don't see our signs. Samu ototam oto. They made now their signs of the cemetery. And he says in Od Navi, like Kam Od Navi, so he refers to Moshe. We don't have a Navi anymore. And he tells God to take his hand out of his bosom, which of course reminds me of right after those words of Moshe, which we said last week, backs up Rabbi Sassoon when he says the Ot is not magic. The Ot is nothing more than a symbol of inactivity, and Sarat is how you waste away, and so on and so forth. What I show in this Mizmor, this is 10 years old already or more, it's in volume 2, is that it's, when you say Ototenu lo ra'inu, if you look closely, you'll see red things pointing out from it. It's all full of otot. And all of the otot of creation, of the flood, good evening, of the flood, of Yetziat Mitzrayim, of Shirat Hayam, are all there. And the word, so it's ironic. And in Mizmor that says Ototenu lo ra'inu, you don't see the otot, right?
We've done it before. Huh?
That's correct. That's why I said this is not
You.
alien to you.
Right.
So when you look at that chart, it's striking the extent to which it is flooded with references to otot, the word otot, right? Whether it be in the opening words in the closing words, Meshu ot, right? Or ne'ot, or kilipot, or again, or when it says atarisatzta taporarta, that's otot, and it's referring to the otot. The content is referring to it. Yet, the fact is, and I just told this to AB before you all came in, I always make a joke. No one has seen this for the last 2,500 years. So that's what I want to talk about. Over the last 40 years, I say 40 years because Rabbi Sassoon passed away in 85, Alav Shalom. So that's we're in 25, that's 40 years right now. And before that, and even before that, we were talking, we had already started making, right, discoveries that were staggering. Now, here you are, this is a perfect example. You're going to move into the center of Tehillim, the two, which are two 80-word Mizmorim when you look at it correctly, and it's about the covenant, and one is this Ki'ekach Moed, we've spoken about it. We'll go into details in coming weeks when I decide the time is right. And the second one is about which we'll go into detail about the stories of which nobody, again, for the last 2,500, nobody has seen any of this for 2,500 years. And we always come in and make a joke. And I'll see the faces, or this guy over here will say, okay, and he's waiting, and he's excited, and he has fun, and he enjoys it because you hear things that are really not known, right? But are very, very inspiring to us and very meaningful, and so on and so forth. Now, tonight, I'd like to talk about, for the short amount of time we have, what it means instead of making the joke, right, which I did all through the years. Is okay, now here we go. I'm going to say something you haven't heard in 2,500 years. But I was always grappling with this for me personally, because making discoveries nobody saw. you know, in the present, who the heck am I? Who the heck am I? What do you mean? And of course, when you make a breakthrough like that, you say to yourself, because it's not a breakthrough when you're digging under the ground and you find a coin. You dug, you found the coin. Here's the coin. You show everybody the coin. Everybody goes, "Oh, this is a coin for it's a 700-year-old coin, and it's from this era dynasty, whatever, Ming Dynasty, and it's worth $2 million." It's a fact. You don't have to do anything other than show the coin. Over here, there's a complexity involved. There's words, there's ideas, there's concepts, there's interpretations of particular words. How do you put it together? So it's extremely complex, very, very dense. And at the very beginning, when you start to see these type of things, you question the veracity of your own discovery. And you say, it can't be, or it'll be refuted, or I'm pushing it, or is it a figment of my imagination? And then you say that, and then after you say it, you come back to reality. But it's there. What should I do? It's there. That's there. You could. For those of you who don't see, I'm pointing to Morris now, and I'm telling him, stand on your head and spit wood nickels. That's there. And those words are there, and they're not me being inventive with a what do you call it, a good imagination. That it's a fact. It's a fact, and it brings it all out in an amazing way, and makes a very powerful statement. That said, I want to talk about the fact. I want to talk about it from a different angle, for the first time ever in the classes. And that's this. No, it's not funny. No, I want to talk about it's very serious. I want to say that these are discoveries that have not been seen for 2,500 years. And they are game changers. And they are meant to bring about paradigm shifts. And yes, we're discovering them. And yes, they're world changing. Huh? That's a little bit nervy. Well, I think there are certain ideas in prophetic writing. There's complex ideas in prophetic writing, very complex. Prophetic writing has nothing to do with regular writers, and we've said that 100 times. There are messages embedded in prophetic writing that were embedded there to be discovered at some point in time in the future. And those messages, we had the benefit of the Rabbi Sassoon giant with his breakthroughs, and the Rab giant behind him, his Talmid Muvhak, and I tested those waters when given the rules, the rules of prophetic writing. Right? This is how it works. This is what it is. This is what it's doing. So I ran with it. And each time I'd find something, when I tested the waters, it worked. So I was amazed. I tested the waters and it worked. Then I tested the waters again. Here we are 50 years later, 40 years later, and I no longer question the veracity of the breakthrough. It's there, and that's the same thing for you. And for you guys, certainly for Joey and Sawley and Aby and Morris, who's seen it since he's a kid. For you, Morris, it's late newer, and for you, Sammy, it's newer. But you've had quite a lot of exposure, you two, quite a lot, and your listeners, right? So, what's the story? The story is that, in fact, the whole way that creation works, if we use we use the beginning of time till now as an example, the world takes 15.7 billion years or something. 13.7 billion years. And every one of the days of creation is representing a stage, and each one of those days represents a billion years. All dates are unimportant, to make a point. So Yehi Or, it takes a billion years. And then a billion years later, Rakia. And a billion years later, another one, and so on and so forth. Now, if you go up to Hashem after the 500 million years into the Yehi Or statement, and you had a conversation with him, tell him, when's the next stage going to come? Would Hashem say 500 million years, or would he say, whenever it's ready? I set it in motion. It is moving with I'm overseeing the whole thing, but it's moving. Morris, I want you to correct me a lot now if I'm off base over here.
Okay.
It's in motion. The atoms are making choices. All the atoms are making choices. Yes, I created it. Yes, I've set it in motion. Yeah, but this whole thing from its essence has free choice. And there's nothing automatic about any of it. So imagine if Hashem would go, so it'd say, well, how much longer to go? So you go, whenever it runs its course and it finishes taking whatever formation it's going to take. And then when it's time, he pushes it along with the Hirakia statement, right? And then it takes it. Now you tell him, how long is that going to take? And he goes, whenever it happens. Now you get to man, and there's people walking around, and they're not people, and they somewhere in there they become sentient, and they actually are aware of themselves. So, how long does it take from the time they become sentient? 13 billion years later, right? And when the time they become sentient, how long does it take to get to? Well, they start to think, and they start to have weapons, and they know how to beat the other guy, and they know how to protect themselves against animals, and then they kill the animals, and then they this, and then cities and inventions, and you get to towns, and then you get to even cities with systems of law controls and so on and so forth. Now, from then to now, takes no time at all. It's very, very rapid fire. Relatively speaking, relative to 13.7 billion years. How long is this? You know these things. What do they guess? What do they say from the time that man becomes sentient till now is
6,000-7,000.
50 million years?
No, I don't know. No, hundreds of thousands.
100?
I
Okay.
think, when do you want to say? When does?
Yeah, Neanderthal, whatever.
Civilization.
Whatever.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It's on, that's in the tens of thousands of years.
Okay, so whatever it is,
Yeah.
50,000 years, 100,000 years, and then if you go to, it picks up, it exponentially picks up, and then if you go to a guy when I was a teenager, and you tell him in 50 years from now, you're going to be able to see a guy when you talk to him, like I do with Rabbi Ralphie, and you go like this, and he's at 6,000 miles away, and you don't know when we're talking that we're not in the same room, and we talk to each other for hours, and it's perfect. Everything, the sound is perfect, the interaction is perfect. You can see every detail and everything, and the guy goes, "You're nuts, right?" And you're going to walk around the thing with the phone and all of its power. And of course, that's now moving at a super duper fast pace because of quantum computers and because of AI, which is going to, now we all know AI is in its infantile, prenatal stages. And then when it really takes off, it's going to be weird. It's weird to us now. Weird in the sense that you're going to be talking to a machine fluently about everything, and it's going to be smarter than you, let's say, for example, whatever. That said, if that's how things are moving along, and what is the pace of those things? The pace of those things are they're going to move at whatever, if you'll ask, right? It's going to happen at a certain pace, and it's going to surface, right, in a certain way. These ideas that we have over here that the Navi put in, and the Torah put in a story built in about it when it told the story of Yosef. Right? Because it said it. That story is the story about someone who's in control of the entire planet, because he's the head of Egypt. If you're the head of Egypt, you're the head of everything. So why doesn't he reveal himself to his brothers? Because his brothers, he doesn't see that they're up to it. When he sees in the last scene that they're unified, then it's time. Then it speaks for itself. He didn't have to make a decision. It was clear. Oh, take me and let him go. It's because Father needs him. Oh, you've completely you have a complete and total understanding of the situation, and now he reveals himself, and they're taken aback, right? How things moved behind the scenes. God moved the pieces behind the scenes. So that's exactly what's happening. That story is reflective. That story of microcosm of a nation, right, of 12 people, is reflective of us and the Torah and what it's doing and what's embedded in the Torah, right? And that is going to run its course. When I say run its course, at a certain point in time, the ideas that are embedded in there, in the prophecy now, when we say prophecy, we don't mean telling the future. Prophecy never means telling the future, right? Everybody thinks it means the prophet never told the future, right? The prophet who comes like Jeremiah or the other ones say, the writing is on the wall. You're gonna that's prophecy. You're done. You're done. You keep this up. There's not going to be anything left here. There's destruction coming. Why? Because God is going to allow it to happen, and you're not going to, etc. So that reality that there's a pace that things are moving along, you can't help but recognize that Israel being where it is today is clearly a shift over the last few thousand years. There's nothing to talk about. It's you come off of Nazi Germany and Machemam, you come off of horrors that are beyond comprehension, and then in a couple of years, everything reverses itself overnight, right? In history, looking at it, it took 5 minutes for that to happen, 5 minutes for that to happen, and then an hour later, they're one of the most powerful armies in the world, and then they have the most powerful weapon in the world, and so on and so forth. So clearly, there's a shift taking place, and there's certain things that are certain ideas that it's time for them to surface. And I think
Because it's a state.
No, whatever, that's.
because the nation has
Because now we have.
has gotten renewed,
So now we can develop.
has gotten renewed, has gone renewed, and Nivu'ah, it's time for Nivu'ah to come back into the bloodstream of the nation. Moshe in the Midbar, chapter 11, says to the famous words,
Whatever,
no, not those words, no. In chapter 11, in chapter 11, verse 27, it says, there were two people, right? Verse, go to 26. There were two men left in the camp. They're in the camp, not out of the camp with the 70 guys, right? Had Eldad,
Yes, yes.
Medad.
Right, those.
Eldad, Medad, those two
Yeah,
guys.
it's-
Now, of course, their names are going to mean something, right? Dad, and Eldad and Medad, and the first letters are Aleph, Lamed, and Yud and Mem, right? Which probably combined means something. Maybe the Dalid stands for 4 and 4 is 8, maybe, who knows, whatever. But clearly those two words are supposed to be put together, right?
Mhm.
Vatana Alehim Haruah, and the Spirit rested on them, the Him Beketubim. They don't go out of the tent. They have prophecy in the camp itself.
Mhm.
Vayarot Sanar, and the Nod runs. Vayegad Moshe. I'm sorry.
Yoshua.
Vayan Yehoshua Binun. Mesharet Moshe Bibuchorav. Right? No, I didn't say it right.
The now is the one who tells Moshe. And then
Yeah, right. And he goes, so then Yehoshua goes to Moshe Adonim Moshe Kalem. He tells him, wipe him out. Lock him up. I'm sorry. Lock him up. Famous words. Moshe. Moshe tells him, are you, what are you, jealous for me now? Sitting there now, you're worrying about me and you're jealous of me? Umi, now he makes a prayer. Umi yitin kol am Adonai nebiim ki yitin Adonai dercho alehim. Would it be that Hashem gives and places, right?
Mhm.
All of Am Hashem, whoever you want to define Am Hashem, you could define, right? If you want to define it as the planet, or you want to define it anybody in the planet who decides to be part of Am Hashem, however you want to define it, you can. Would that it be that they're all Nevi'im? That he should put his spirit on them. That means Moshe is saying, in no uncertain terms, you know who should have prophecy? Everybody. Well, anybody who's Am Hashem, right? Right?
Mhm.
How all of them have it. What do you worry about? You worry about my feelings?
Right.
That's what I wish would happen. That means that prophecy is meant to be part of being a person. Part of being an individual is that you get prophecy.
Okay.
Well, what the heck does that mean, right?
Would you
can.
define prophecy as like a hypersensitivity to the now? It's not reading the future, you said.
Never said
So
that.
it's a sensitivity to the present,
It's an interaction with God.
in the present.
Yeah, of course, it's always in the present, always. He's a human being. He doesn't know any. The human being knows the past.
He's describing the outcome of the interaction with God as being a sensitivity to what's.
I understand. Yes, right. The outcome of being interacting with God on
Moral clarity.
is
It's a moral clarity
morality, ethics, justice.
and ability to
and-
reflect on what's happening now in a critical way such that.
Right.
people-
On an intelligent level,
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct.
not on a spook level, right?
What exactly? Well, that's what all these 75, and we're going to talk about 75, 76. There's no such thing as magic. That's what Ototano over here shows, that they were taught are never magic. All of these things are never magic, and magic never is. And it's clear that in the world today, Christianity is fading away. How many people believe that the Jewish guy was born in an immaculate conception, and the Jewish guy could do magic and walk on water and sit?
Brian, right?
Only, yeah. How many people believe in that? How many people? The Muslims. How do people look at people who say, if a guy gets in your way, kill him, and when you die, you're going to go and there's going to be 70, infinite amounts of sex. They look like primitive fools. And the Haredim, when you see their so-called Gedolim saying, better to learn Torah and let the whole nation go to pot. Stupid, embarrassing, backward, primitive statements by those religious leaders and so on and so forth. And all the people who believe that certainly all the people who believe like they did in the old days, you slit cut up a goat and everything is better, right? So, you fix your mezuzah and everything is better. The people who put metal in bread, and they think that by putting pieces of metal in bread, things are going to get better. That's the whole planet is still there, but those religions are fading in their ability on to a certain level of the society to really mean anything, and for anybody to believe those kind of things anymore. Even the people in the religion, even the Christian guy says, well, it didn't really happen. Doesn't he'll make a midrash on Immaculate Conception. He'll make a midrash on something that what's his name? Islam. Muhammad said. Right. I could just forget that name. Everybody's name is Muhammad. So the world is at a critical juncture. Israel's at a critical juncture. And the events that are taking place are clearly the kind of events, that are game-changing events. Clearly. And that said, when I said about Haredim, there are a lot of people in Israel that are very, very high-quality people and do understand the ideas of justice, morality, ethics, who have put themselves on the line and sacrificed themselves to the nation and done it in a way that represents the spirit of the Torah in a very good way, in a very positive way. Well, just like you see this kind of development, there is a need for these ideas to surface. These ideas that are embedded within the prophetic message that are surfacing now are there because it is good. How long was it going to take for it to happen? So I think just like I gave you the example, if you go up to Hashem after he orders, how long is it going to take after 500 million years? I think Hashem will tell you, I built the world in such a way as that I don't know, that I'm letting it run its course. And if you ask the Navi when he wrote these things that clearly were, now we know today, clearly they were embedded. Clearly nobody knew about them for thousands of years. So that rather than make a joke, say it was waiting for someone to pick up on it. And Rabbi Sassoon surfaced. Now, Rabbi Sassoon didn't know the things we're finding, but he gave us all the tools and set down all the groundwork. And when we ran with it, it worked. And now we found it. And it's not maybe we found it. It's not we think we found it. There's enough evidence, certainly in the 1,000 pages of commentary, which today, Ralphie told me, any one page in the 1,000 pages is a PhD in and of itself. Every single page, a guy writes, he has that one point. He says, on any page, take any page of the book, take that one point. The guy's whole life, his PhD, everything he writes, everything is based on that one statement. He builds on it. Oh, we have 1,000 of them. I remember the first time I showed a professor the B'nai Korach idea laid out in about 30, 40 pages. I said, what do you think of this for a PhD? He says, this is not good for a PhD. He says, you have 4 of them here. I remember how he said 4 PhDs, 4 in this little thing he showed me. I didn't know that he was serious. I didn't know what it meant. So we know in this room, we know that the information that's been built, the evidence and the backup to the material is you can't say, just like the scholars will accept about a chiasm, a 10-point chiasm that's perfect, saying that it's there by mistake is like saying you threw up the cards. You know what I mean? A, B, B, C, C, and say it's like you threw up the cards and they all ended 1 to 52. They say, of course, that was done purposely. Well, we have enough evidence to show that there are 1,000 of things like that, way beyond
We do.
chiasm. And those things are incontrovertible facts now. I don't doubt the discoveries anymore. It's pashut that it's there. Now that it's pashut that it's there, well, how long was it going to take to come out? The same answer. How long?
When it was ready.
Exactly. Whenever things get there, they get there. And whenever it's the time, it's the time. Yes, God's pushing the whole thing along. And of course, everything is God, right? Would you say there's no movement without God?
Of course.
There's no movement. Nothing in the creation move. None of the atoms move without God. Yes?
I mean, if you wanna put it in simple terms, he created the state of Israel in order to have a society, to have a place for these ideas and stuff to be able to expand it and hopefully build a society that's gonna change the world.
The rabbis say that Israel is Taburo Shel Ha'olam. Israel is the belly button of the world. Why was it there? Because how's it going to go? Fertile center of the Fertile Crescent. That Egypt this way, Babel that way. That's the whole planet, and everything's going to spread out from there. So we put it right at the bullseye.
In 1948 was God pushing things along.
Exactly.
To come through.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So
I think Hafezon's sense at the time has come for sure. And he expressed that. And he said that to you that the doors are starting. You're gonna open one and the doors are all gonna open.
that's right.
Oh,
In the hospital.
When he said that in 1940,
No,
I don't think so.
right, we
No.
needed the state of Israel.
He used the mirror example. He says, you walked in now, you're gonna walk in, you just made the big breakthrough. When I talked about Moshe, it was in the hospital. And he said, but just be ready. When you open that door, you're in. You got in. You're gonna see doors,
Right.
an infinite amount of doors. Like you think you know, oh, I made the breakthrough.
Yeah.
Wait till you see how many doors there are. And of course, it was the imagery of the two mirrors next to each other. And there's infinite doors going to the left and right.
Yeah.
So he did say that. And he did answer me when I asked him, do you think it's time for your ideas to come out? And he went like this. He never said, before that, he said, "It's not time." Before that, he used the example of the atomic bomb, and you don't use it, because, but then he said, and it very much looked like the changeover was taking place. So therefore, these ideas have surfaced, and these ideas, it sort of it percolated under the surface, and eventually it came out, and now we see what it is. And it is, we've seen how many profound, wondrous things have you seen? Profound, wondrous, a lot of them.
Yes.
And they're mind-boggling, right? And they're game changers, and they're going to bring about a paradigm shift. Mars, describe a paradigm shift.
Paradigm shift, it's a fundamental change in the way that everything is understood and the way it operates, the way, everything is,
Seen from a different
Yeah.
perspective.
But we're going backwards.
Well, no, that's the point. It's going to bring about a paradigm shift, and it's going to come into play, and things are not going to go backwards. That's the point.
Right now it is though, okay, it's still, because it's still fertilizing, so to speak.
No, it's already changing. No, there are Jews in Israel who are already part of the change. The change is already in motion. Otherwise, the paradigm shift wouldn't take place. No, there are people who are living their lives in line with what the Torah wants a person to be. They're not into magic.
But they're getting swallowed up by the,
Doesn't matter. They exist.
it's the Mia example, the Mia at the time when he was prophesying, he got swallowed up by all the crap that was going on, and the Churban and everything, and it took,
What do you mean he got swallowed up?
his ideas and his things did not come to fruition until many years later.
Right.
Okay, so, but it
He didn't get lost,
was destruction.
So there,
but he didn't get lost. It went forward. That's just what this conversation is about.
Steve was there, okay,
it's here.
No, that is this conversation.
so is it gonna get worse till it gets better?
But no, the point he's making.
Here you are now trying to say,
I'm just-
you know what you're doing? You're going to God and saying, how long is it going to take to get to Rakia? You know what he's going to tell you? Whenever that happens, it happens. But I'm telling you something different now. You're asking, Is it getting worse before it gets better? Blah, blah, blah. Where are we at in this? I'm not attempting to answer that question. I can't answer that question. You're getting microscopic, exactly. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that we're in the middle of there's a paradigm shift taking place here. No one is going to say anymore that the stories are about magic, that all the stories in Bereshit are about he did magic. No one's going to say that. That's going to at a certain point in time dissipate out of the nation.
Inside this room,
Yes, outside this room.
saying, how will they know?
And I don't see it now, it's gonna.
I didn't say it today. One second.
Understand, but
On-
At some point, people thought the world was flat.
Yes,
They all realized that wasn't the case, so the paradigm shift here is, if people think that this may have been all full of magic, there would be a paradigm shift where they say, no, it's not flat anymore.
so if you're standing there with Copernicus, you mean with, what's his name? Not Copernicus, tell me his name. Galileo. So you saying when he was in, he says, listen to me,
The sun goes
the
around.
sun goes around. So if you were there when he was in his given the class privately, probably because they were going to kill him if they. It would have been burned. So he says, don't tell anybody what I'm telling you now. So if you told them when they're gonna accept it, I think he probably would have said,
I don't know.
they're gonna have instruments and they're gonna get there and instruments are gonna prove it whether they like it or not. Although in Lakewood, I remember 50 something years ago, when they get to the moon, they say, so what do you want to say now about that? Says, oh, that's just another proof. What do you mean? So the guy's standing there. He's standing there looking here. Oh, it's just another proof. You know what I mean? It's like Gemara. You guys are not familiar with that. It's just another raya. Just another raya. Go. So you got another raya. In other words, you got another proof. There's another proof the other way. There's another proof there. The guy's standing there. There's not going to ever be a proof the other way. He's standing there looking at the planet from a distance. There's no another raya because he can't cope, right?
But you said something important, is that the time it took wasn't just a function of time, it was a function of technologies available to them.
That's correct.
You say that you found what you found also because certain technologies have been made available to you that weren't available earlier.
Made it easier for me to present it.
Much easier.
Things have to.
The point-
Been impossible.
Something gets pushed forward.
There's
You're
only
gonna
20
never-
colors.
never trust.
A lot of
Many
things.
things have to come in that all of a sudden you're able to tap into that thing.
That's correct. A lot of things.
A guy before could not tap.
Right.
It's the same.
So but you see now you could take this material and put it out there. Once the material is out there, no one's going to be able to say you're wrong. No one's going to be able to make a joke out of it. Yeah,
It moves
of
from-
course, there's always people who could make a joke out of it, but those are the people who are not reading anything and don't care. We're not talking.
He has to say, he has to deal with it and look at it.
Every
and say,
series.
"Oh, there's something.
Or hide,
Every series.
or hide from it, or hide. But there are some people who won't hide.
They want.
There are some people even there.
They have some intellect, they can look at it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now if you put out proof after proof after proof, you're done. It's going to take hold somewhere and it's surfacing. So saying you discovered it, I want to say, yeah, we did discover it. Yeah, it is the breakthrough. Yeah, it is the paradigm shift. Yeah. And what's going to happen from that? It's going to be a major contributor into bringing about a very deep understanding of ethics, morality, justice, right, wrong. It's not a magic that does it. It's you. It's hard work. It's not, religion doesn't satisfy these problems. Philosophically, things are going to change, and there's going to be
Of the prophetic word.
For the first.
Right.
For the first time in a long time.
for the first time, and those are the seeds that were planted, and the seeds that were planted did take effect already, have had great impact, have gotten it to the point where it's time for these ideas to surface and to take hold, for these deeply embedded messages to surface and then give much deeper perspective into much deeper. It's of another order, because when you understand that the Eliyahu story is really not a story of miracles, but it's a story of someone says, I didn't start the fire, you started the fire. I wasn't in the wind, I wasn't in the sound, I wasn't in the fire.
Everything.
My sound is imperceptible. You decided to do that. Eliyahu does it all with very good intentions. Always remember that.
Yeah.
There's nobody left. What would you like me to do? They killed everybody. If I don't act, he did it, but he was told, too bad. It's not gonna be the way things work, and I don't work that way. Of course, that's the game changer. Of course, that's what we're talking about in 75 and 76.
Then you immediately go to an example of, it's not gonna be that way, it's gonna be this way.
That's correct. That's correct. So therefore, it's the first time I ever stated this. Yeah, we did make those kind of breakthroughs. Yeah, they are of how far reaching are these breakthroughs?
How far reaching? They're getting to a real understanding of,
No, how far reaching
I don't know, it's gonna change the way people look at the text.
in the world?
Yeah.
It's gonna change, the world is not gonna only us in the room and the community, and it's a world game changing, national, international. It's gonna change everything and all of the prior things, ideas,
International before the community.
huh?
National, international before
No,
the.
it's
Right,
it's basic,
Right.
cynical.
They're not early adopters.
right. So I wanted to state it in no uncertain terms that that's what we're seeing. That's what's happening. That's the changes that have taken place. And they are, in fact,
No doubt.
no one's seen it for 1,000 years. That's right. And so what? So what? And who are we to know it? Well, you're around. You're around. You're around when there's a discovery made, right?
But 1,000 years ago, or 200 years ago, or even 100 years ago, they needed that. The world isn't ready for this.
Mhm.
You can't say no, but they lived on magic. They
Mhm.
lived on it, faith. They didn't-
You're saying they need the story,
No.
bring a
It's
certain
written
message,
that way, isn't
right,
it?
to deliver a certain message, right?
But
Now-
it had to
But it is
take away the
certainly-
magic by presenting the story and moving the magical story out of magic slowly. Because if you told the guy that it wasn't magic, he'll laugh in your face.
But
What we say, it's this,
What
it's
Joey's
this,
saying
it's
is
not bad,
There also wasn't a Jewish voice to be able to carry it, to present it to the world.
There wasn't,
A Jewish voice for 2,000 years. We were stuck in shtetls and stuff. We didn't have any.
No, we had.
That's not
No, we had to
true.
get.
No, we had to go back.
That's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, that's
Because
flip here and there.
Okay, so that's a blip is
even
enough.
Christianity put forth the word. I mean, the Old Testament
yeah,
affected everybody. That word
But-
came out. And that was the basis of America democracy.
you can't say Christianity didn't back up the Ten Commandments.
Of course it did.
It did.
What do you mean? All those founding fathers of America were all devout Christians. Or
Right.
Protestants.
The-
Or they weren't religious, but they thought that there were good things that they were in their religion.
Exposed to
The-
those ideas.
Right. Right.
They never talk about the New
They
Testament.
believe in a supreme.
Right.
Right.
Right. So now,
And they
knowing this,
got rid of religion. At the same time,
they eliminated religion. Yeah.
right, they separated it
Yeah,
from the structure,
because they'll say.
which
the
is
priest-
amazing, because they're, like you said, but they're devout, right? But they see that what has to be done governmentally and democratically in the world requires leaving the religion
Right.
as,
Because they read Milachim, they saw what the religion
Right.
does when it's
Also-
in the hands of the powerful.
yeah.
They saw, you'll see Jefferson, and they saw the
Well, we'll
priest.
call it the old
a
version of religion had to be left to the side,
Yeah.
the practiced religion,
They
yeah.
saw the priest as a destructive force.
We said it last week, or the week before, the whole Birkat Kohanim, Samuel Shemi.
Right.
We had to remind the Kohanim every time they got up there,
Yeah,
it's not them. it's
yeah. And you know who said that before that was written, before I wrote that? Nobody ever said that ever. That's one of the that's one of the things that's surfacing after 2,500 years.
Except the 25.
What did I say?
Keep holding that to say just now.
Every single thing. But that's a game.
Because he's getting old.
No, no, we're very close. We're very close to Moshe. Tom.
But it's a game. It's a game changer. This quarterback. This is a quarterback, right? This is how more than you. Hashem. This is how you bless God, not your way.
It's more than that, though. They're taught, I don't know who's Kohanim in this room,
This guy.
that every time you say the last, anytime you have a cha,
Yeah.
you're supposed to
go back and forth.
swing around to say, I'm talking, it's
Yeah,
you guys.
right,
It's
right.
nothing to do with me or God, it's you.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So
Correct.
2,500 years ago, when it got embedded, because it was not
No.
ready for the world to.
No,
Clearly. Well, it's this. No, that's the Yosef story. What was he waiting for? What was he waiting for? He was waiting for
A perfect.
when he came up to him and he told him, "You take me." No, free him. Let him go back to his father. What do you mean? He's your father too. Well, let him go back to his father. Take me. Done. Done. You completely reversed everything. You've got your view has metamorphosed into something else, and now, therefore, you've become unified, right? Unity was the objective over there.
That suggests that the world has reached the point where they can, where
That-
Yosef can reveal what teshuvah has the world made.
You see the way certain Jews in Israel acted during this horrible thing with Hamas. You see how the X amount of the nation came together, how unified they were, how where it looked like the barriers, there's going to be civil war, but you see how they came together, and you see that a lot of religious people with a lot of sincerity, not Haredim, not those million religious people who couldn't care less. No, people who have a healthier attitude, who have a they know that there are people in the nation who are completely not religious, don't anything. They couldn't care less, and all those barriers came down. I'm just giving you examples. You see very, very, very high quality, very, very. I'll say it. People who are interested in tzedakah, mishpat, justice.
Overall, the majority of them are heading or presenting that.
That
direction.
there's a significant portion are looking at things to bring about justice, morality, ethics, equality, all those things. Not like left wingers do it, and the liberals of idiot things. Not like that.
So meaning that because of what they seem to already be heading towards.
That's
they're
right.
Receptive to seeing another level of understanding.
That's right.
That will be presented in the right way.
That's right. That's right. When I gave a lecture to Shmuel Klitzer, my friend, he's retired now, so he teaches in Lindenbaum only once a week or twice a week now, and he brought 5 or 6 of his friends there, and one of them is a well-known Bible scholar, and I gave them the interpretation of Mipi Olim V'Yonakim from 8, and he turned around, he went like this. Everybody, when I gave the lecture, I said, nobody has ever interpreted this verse, ever. There's 1,000 commentaries out there, they're clueless, they all don't know. And he says, that's the first time I ever heard an answer. Yeah. So there's a guy who's receptive. He says, that's the first time, because he knows all the other answers, right? That's the first time I've heard an answer that works. That makes sense. There's receptive people out there. There are people who are interested in that. So we have a responsibility to bring this material out, to bring it to their doorstep, to write it. And that's why my grandson Ronnie got the Chat GPT to translate Volume 1 into Hebrew. I told you about it. Ronnie took all of Volume 1 and fed it to Chat GPT and said, translate this into Hebrew in my style of writing, meaning the way I wrote it.
The writer.
It's, he did, you can't do the whole book in one time, won't take 500 pages, you could take 10 pages, let's say. So he did it slowly over a few months, and now the book is completely translated into Hebrew. Now, if you did this to Google Translate 5 years ago, it looks like Chinese.
That's what I'm saying, is that.
Now you do it.
Technology to be able to do this.
Now you do it, and it's 99% finished. On the first pass,
That's
it needs
monumental.
1% of editing. It's perfect.
Mhm.
It's actually pretty, again, it's scary when you read it. It's scary. It's perfect. It needs a little bit of editing to make it all uniform. So take that, put it out there, teach it to that's right. Teach it to the American Jews, see the people who know, and you'll make surface material that was waiting, quote unquote, to come to the surface. And now I feel very confident of not, instead of making the joke of the last 40 years, I'm going to tell you something nobody heard for 2,500 years. I'm not going to say there's a joke, I'm going to say it's a reality. It's true. And we, knowing that, have a responsibility.
We were convinced.
You have that responsibility.
The next generation.
But with no, because you have that responsibility with a reality revisited. Because who knows reality? You know it. You know it. Nobody else knows it. And that's why David Sassoon calls you, because you know it. Nobody else knows it. So you got to take it because it plays a critical role in how it's integrated with their Ronnie Mizrahi, my grandson, is 20 years old, and he's writing things every week that are, forget about it. He looks like he's a 4-year-old, you know. He's Ricky privately between me and you know how he refers to Ronnie? He says he's one of the biggest Bible scholars around anywhere.
He's brilliant.
He's 20. That's the way he talks about him. He's one of the biggest Bible scholars in the world. You know, like he's like that kind of category.
So Rambam class, he asked Ronnie for his opinion and
Yeah,
feedback and
yeah,
back him up.
yeah. But Ronnie has no ego
Right, he's very.
at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, he's smart.
He-
He smirks when he has his own.
Yeah, he has no ego whatsoever, zero, and he's not stupid. He knows that he knows the thing.
Yeah.
He teach his friends in high school. He's the teacher, and they go to him. They love him because he teaches them and he knows how to explain things well. So you have people that are being cultivated behind the scenes who can take the material, and you guys have to think of the material now that way, learn it that way, read the book that way, and play a role in having it surface on many fronts. You have to figure out ways to do that. In conclusion to tonight, what time?
We never doubted the authenticity. We never doubted it because it's just all over your face.
Here's where we challenge it.
But
Something to challenge, yeah.
because we don't
But I'll tell you
know the
what's-
other way.
but I'll tell you what's changing.
But it's just too much.
I'll tell you what's changing.
There's no.
Sephardic, the Rab made it the moral focus of the whole community. What would you say? The
Compass.
compass, right? It's the moral compass of the community. Since I'm very young, right? Since one of my teenage years. So it was the moral compass. It still is the moral compass, right? And now, without the Rab's leadership, Rabbi Ricky and the group of people around him now have to look at what our responsibilities are as to carrying that to the next level. So to speak, like Morris Stoikas taking the Chumash and making it in like a, what do you call it? Instead of the stupidity of the, what's the other company? ArtScroll.
Right.
No, you put out there, you can put a Chumash in every shul now,
Right.
and it'll be one volume. They got a very, very beautiful volume, and it's going to be in how many synagogues? You'll be surprised. No. You see, you're too skeptical. It'll get in because it's good stuff.
6, 8, 10 copies here and there, they'll start growing. Yeah.
And then they'll buy it, and then a guy says, I want it in this shul, and then the guy, we're not talking about Haredim.
No.
Haredim are going to just dissipate.
Yeah.
They're going to just dissipate. They're going to fade away They're gonna fade away. I don't care how strong they become, but they're gonna fade away because when the material becomes revealed, they're gonna, by the very nature of what they're doing, just fade away. It's like a person goes like this. There's no such thing as electricity. Oh, certain the guy who says that at a certain point in time in history, you know what happened to that guy? Where is he? The guy who said this. Where is he? The guy who said there's no electricity. Where's the guy that says there's no such thing as atomic, whatever it is? Where is that guy?
We never went to the moon.
What?
They don't believe we went to the moon.
They don't believe, right? Where was that guy
It
now?
was in the beach somewhere.
Yeah, where is that guy? That's all, that's dissipating and will continue to dissipate. Because reality they will, by reality, dissipate. Now, when you look at yourself in that picture and you, our, you say you have a center, we have to maintain that. If you'd ask me what the Rab would want, what Rabbi Bassoon would want, now you gotta take it and you gotta run with it. You gotta run with it. You gotta go, you gotta, not talk about it from
Theoretical. Gotta be practical.
right, here it is. Here's the material. This is what prophecy is. Who could have prophecy? Anybody. Anybody? Anybody. How do you do it? Well, there's ways and there's things and there's techniques and there's ways to open it up and there's ways to get deep understanding and interaction with God and to communicate. And there's avenues and you take between reality revisited and between the Rab's commentary and between volume 1 and volume 2. And now we're going to make a commentary on the Torah with him, Joey. I'm going to start with him on now. When that'll be finished, it'll be critical because it'll be straight through the Torah commentary, not straight through Tehillim, straight through the Torah commentary, but with all these ideas from that angle, which will be very, very, very critical. That's when I'll start working with him now. So I wanted to say this because it's an idea whose time has come. And that's a perfect opportunity, 74, what we're talking about these days, to say, Ototenu Lo Ra'inu. Yes, the Otot are there. Yes, we do see them. Yes, we didn't see them, but now you do see them. But now you're aware of things that nobody was aware of, and you know what he was doing when he said that, and you know the deeper message he was conveying. Therefore, you know a lot more about the deeper messages that were being conveyed through the millennia, a lot more, and it will exponentially, right? Because that's what happens. Was you ever discovered? It's exponential. How far did you go in the last 50 years in technology? It's going on. It's so fast that you can't see it happening, right? It's rapid fire. Well, that'll happen here, and I believe that this will play a role in bringing about a paradigm shift in the nation. I don't know what that means for the future, for world politics, for how it goes, but I know that if you work that way, it'll happen.
What's our responsibility?
And I'm very confident it'll happen. Let's put it that way.
What's our responsibility?
To keep learning it.
To play a role in any way you can in making that happen, whatever the way you were in your life, whatever.
To keep learning it and to transfer some of it to your children, stuff like that.
Right.
Small-
Transfer it to your children, transfer it to your grandchildren, transfer it to your friends. Talk about it from that perspective. Study, learn, work within in Sephardic. Let's make sure we survive. We never have anything because we never have any money. We never have any, we're not. Alan Hurst draws in the shul. Alan Hurst draws the whole community, right? Yeah, popular over here. You come to Al Minyan. There's 8 guys over in one.
We don't get them in there.
You don't get it right. So because it's the very nature of what you do, it's like that's what's going to happen when you do what you do, right? That's what happens. I always tell you that the Rambam.
Yeah.
There's so much talking going on. He says, okay, no more Hazara. The Rambam. You always go, the Rambam. Yeah. What was everybody doing in the shul in his minyan? How many people did he have in his minyan? Do we know? I don't know. In 100?
Say
150?
100.
Let's say 100.
Wasn't a lot.
What was happening? What would I always say when he came from Minha before on Shabbat to give class? What were the guys in the back talking about? The football game. Did you hear what happened? There was some kind of a sport going on and the Rambam's giving the class and he looks at his three guys who,
The bullfight.
So maybe at some level.
the bullfight, yeah, right.
You mentioning Alanus, there are some people there who would be receptive to this or influential, who will teach 4, 5, 6 other guys, so we have. to
Okay,
get-
you have to work on that.
Right.
That's correct. You have to work on that. You have to bolster, Rabbi Ricky, you have to bolster the right rabbis. You have to bolster the healthy people.
The Rabbi Skolel was very instrumental in that, he had Rabbi Harari and Rabbi Lambert.
That's right.
I think you need to get that.
I always tell you, I was so taken aback many years ago. He comes to me, he says, he had the rabbinical group. Who's the rabbinical group? Like you said, Rabbi, yeah, and so on and so forth. So he says, okay, you're teaching them for the next, whatever it was. I looked at him. What are you talking about? You want me to teach the rabbis? He goes, yes, they don't know any of these things. Like, of course, and I did. And it was good. And I learned a lot from that because I always thought rabbis knew everything. I didn't know. They didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know. So the Rab knew it because the Rab knew so much. The Rab knew and the Rab understood it, right? I didn't know it. I was like, "What you got? Take me. I'm in Bentex. I'm selling children's wear. What are you talking about?" But he understood it, and therefore you got to keep those younger rabbis today. That's what I think is a critical message that I'm saying from this. I don't think these ideas anymore are. I don't make the joke anymore about it. I say it is discoveries. They are 2,500 years not known. They are surfacing. We did find them. We were fortunate to be enough to be able to discover them, and it's the tip of the iceberg. These profound things are the tip of the iceberg. You agree on that?
For sure.
The tip of the iceberg, and they're amazing.
You don't feel like we're missing
Oh,
so much?
tremendous.
Because the things you see, it's very, there's a lot of writing here. We're really just.
Just the beginning of
Scratching the
opening it up.
surface.
Yeah, right. You have no idea on its depth. All right, so
All goes together.
I hope you enjoyed.
Yes, Moshe, I mean, Ronnie.
And whoever is in the class,
Moshe.
Laila Tov, Joey, if you're still there, Laila Tov. Maybe he's out, yeah.
No, he's
Right,
Right.
that's all.
Oh, there he is, Laila Tov, we got it. We'll speak to you tomorrow. Laila Tov.
Shalom, shalom.
Okay, right up.
My brother's crazy.
Yeah, you visited Chad? Do you know Ryan?